Hello, it's Kim Krause-Schwam, and now we're going to dive into the importance of that first opening sentence in your lead. So let's get started as I talk about opening with a bang and how to make that first sentence count. All right, that ever important opening sentence. It's got two main jobs. First is to arouse curiosity. And the second is to force the prospect to read further. So do not shortchange that first sentence. It's crucial. Let's talk about 5 easy openers that you can use. And this makes it a lot easier when you kind of have these little templates that you can go to. And, there's no one that's right or wrong for your lead. In fact, you can experiment with different openings and just see what works best with your copy. The first one is to lead with a promise. So here are a few examples. If you've been looking for a way to lose stubborn pounds and inches, if you think you've tried everything to flatten your tummy, slim your thighs, firm your butt, and tone those jiggly arms, and if you've had it up to here with exhausting, boring exercise that eats up time you don't have and leaves you sore and achy, then I've got great news for you. So this is leading with a promise that you're not going to have to deal with these other things that have held you back from reaching your target goal. Number 2, you can lead with a head nod statement. And we've probably looked at some examples already where I've done this with my copy. Here we go. It's actually a couple sentences here. This is an opening paragraph, but that first sentence is definitely a head nodder. Many of us joke about senior moments, but when they start happening to you more often, they're not funny at all. Instead, they're frustrating, embarrassing, and perhaps even worrisome. So I'm using the prospect's own language. People joke all the time about, oh, I just had a senior moment, when they have one of those little brain blips. So, but then this is starting to tap into some of those underlying dominant emotions. Number 3, lead with a surprise. After 6,000 years of recorded human history, we are finally able to issue this statement. The worldwide medical community has found solutions for all of the primary diseases and disorders of our times. So that's like a really arresting opening statement for a sentence. It's actually 2 sentences, I suppose. And that's from Jim Rutz's famous Read This or Die promotion. Number 4, lead with a story. That first sentence of that story, you want to put your prospect right in the middle of the action and set them up to receive a story. Your headline might also be hinting at it, but we are all, inclined to stories. It's part of our human makeup. So we're very receptive to them. It helps let some of the guard down. But let's read that sentence, because this is from one of my favorite story leads of all time, one that was written by the late Clayton Makepeace. The harmless-looking white powder you're looking at could have been a death sentence for John and a catastrophe for his grieving family. So there's a lot of curiosity in that first sentence. You're going to hear a story, but it's kind of opening a loop, right? It could have been. So now you want to know, well, why wasn't it, right? Number 5, lead with an imaginary scenario. And this is really good for kind of early on doing some future pacing. It definitely works very well with a more positive, benefit-oriented headline. Imagine 3 weeks from now you can think more clearly. You feel more focused. You stop forgetting where you put your car keys or eyeglasses, right? So this is kind of another way, contrast with the memory one, we joke about senior moments, but they're not funny. They're actually frustrating and worrisome and all that. And now we're kind of taking a more positive approach, which also can work really, really well, especially with health. Imagine 3 weeks from now, you can think more clearly. You're painting a picture of their dream. So you want to make that first sentence count in your lead. And to do that, you want to avoid these common mistakes. And I've been guilty of some of these myself. Fortunately, I've been able to edit them out on one of the multiple rounds that I've reviewed my copy or had others do so. Number 1, way too long of a sentence. You don't want to have a really long, exhausting sentence with too many distinct ideas combined in it. Shorter is usually better. And then put that shortish sentence into its own paragraph for maximum effect. So meaning you don't have like 3 or 4 sentences in that opening paragraph. It needs to look very easy to read. Something's just going to pull them right in as that bridge between your headline and your lead. Number 2, a big disconnect. Your opening sentence should have some sort of logical flow or connection to the main headline above it. You don't want to throw people off. It's like they're expecting to hear or something, you know, not the whole thing revealed, but something that seems to follow or be related to what made them want to read the copy in the first place when they looked at the headline. Don't disappoint them and don't confuse them. Number 3, boring. Don't put a flat, dull sentence as your opening sentence or you'll lose people. Actually, don't put flat, dull sentences anywhere in your copy. You know, one thing you can always ask yourself is, does this help my case? Does it hurt my case? Or is it neutral? I learned that from Paris Papadopoulos. Okay, so you could literally almost every sentence in your entire copy, you could kind of put through that test. So it needs to earn its spot. If it hurts your copy, obviously take it out. If it's neutral, consider taking it out as well. Everything should be helping your case. Number 4, tipping your hand. Don't immediately talk about your product or offer unless it's a proven past customer, because otherwise you'll send your prospect running. Okay, a big part of this is we're pulling them in. We're not appearing aggressively like we're selling something. You know, we want to get them engaged, feel like this is for me. And then when the solution is introduced, which can be still fairly early, depends on the approach you're taking with structuring your copy. But they're going to be much more accepting to it. Now, again, exceptions include, you know, when it's a high stage of awareness of your product, you know, a past customer, National Geographic subscriber you want to get to renew, something like that, right? Then very upfront, you're going to be talking about your offer. But generally, you don't want to tip your hand. You know, just ease them right into the sales copy. Number 5, using big words or a confusing sentence structure. It always pays to be clear, but it's especially important that your opening sentence be very inviting and easy to read. Again, part of that is not having a long sentence or a big, fat, clunky paragraph. But yeah, don't combine more than a couple, like maybe 2 max, distinct ideas in a sentence. You know, you start throwing in 3 or 4 or 5 different things, you know, you've got people just too confused. Okay, now that we've gone through the importance of your opening sentence, you're now ready to write. Look for good lead examples in sales pages and other promos you see out in the wild, and start putting together your own collection to study and refer to. Be sure to print out and refer to the Killer Leads playbook that's included as part of this module. And don't forget to review the next video in this module where I do real-life critiques on lead copies submitted by some of my past copywriting mentees. I'll see you there.